Hello everyone, this is the Mr Frontend podcast number 2. Today we're gonna talk about what is Mr Frontend, who is Mr Frontend, and I'm gonna share 3 of my personal tips for developers who are just starting out. So keep listening. Hello everyone. Well, I am super happy that we can do the second episode of the Mr. Frontend podcast. And I don't know if you listened to the first episode where we talked about the JavaScript framework war, but if you didn't, well, I would suggest to listen to it because I liked a lot to talk about it. But in this episode, I want to talk about who is Mr. Frontend and what am I doing as Mr. Frontend. And also I'm gonna share 3 personal tips for developers who are just starting out and want to get experience. So first let's start in, who is Mr. Frontend? Well, Mr. Frontend, that's me. It's Ray. I am a... Well, I think I've never introduced myself. And that's not so nice for me. So let me introduce myself. I'm Ray. Well, most of my friends call me Ray, but my name is Raymond. And I'm a JavaScript / frontend developer. I have almost around 8 years of experience with developing with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP. Well, my biggest passion is JavaScript, but everything around front-end development is the stuff where I'm get excited about. I'm in my daily life a professional JavaScript developer working on projects. Maybe just like you. I don't know if you do another job in for your boss, but I'm a developer, worked on different companies, small companies, big companies, and I've learned a lot. And with Mr. Frontend, I've wanted to create it as a platform where developers who want to have help can get help. And if you just starting as a developer or want to grow as a developer, well, that's the place where people can come to. And I started at February in 2016, and I started because I saw all around me that developers have a lot of struggles. Myself, I have also had a lot of struggles, a lot of failures, but we will get to the point of failure. And I thought, there is such an opportunity to help, and one of the things I love the most is helping. With development, with other stuff, I always in my whole life I helped people and it made me happy. So that's why I started Mr. Frontend, because all around me I saw developers have struggles, don't know how to start, sometimes just needed a little bit help, a little bit guidance, and I want to be there for those developers. So if you need help, if you want to have some guidance, coaching, come to Mr. Frontend. I would love to help you out. And at Mr. Frontend, most of the time I'm talking about technical topics like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, tuning to build good and nice websites to build effective, build scalable architecture for your JavaScript or CSS. I love to talk about that, and I love to help and teach that. If you didn't saw it already, but I'm doing that most of the time on my blog, and I'm also doing that by video, by making video and explaining things and showing things, because, well, you can hear someone say, well, you need to learn vanilla JavaScript, and as a beginner you start wondering, well, vanilla JavaScript, what the hell is that? Well, that's why I'm not only talking about, but I'm also showing you. And with every video I have also a blog post where I'm showing code where you can, if you want, copy paste. But yeah, I love to help you out with that. But then, as Mr. Frontend, it's just me. I'm also focusing on non-technical stuff, and that's where the coaching comes in. And if you come to me and ask me for help, I will help you to focus on the important stuff. And if you need some help to grow, if you already have some experience, I will help you grow. And if you want to land your first job, I'm also helping you with that. I'm not gonna do all the work for you, but I'm gonna point you in the right direction, and I can put all those information from my own experience. So there's no right and no wrong, but I can share you from my experience what I did. And that's basically what I do with Mr. Frontend. And at Mr. Frontend, we started with a Slack community. It's still there, you can still use it. And you can subscribe for free. Go to the Mr. Frontend website and you search for the link where you can subscribe. And then you get an account to our Slack channel. It's completely free, where you can chat and hang out with other developers like you. And you can also talk to me directly. And to be honest, I had some good conversations, nice. I've met a lot of nice people who just want to learn like I did a few years ago. So I'm very happy with that. We also have a Mr. Frontend Facebook group, also for free. You can join it. Just go to facebook.com/Mr. Frontend community and then search for the link community or groups, and there you can find the group. We'll also put a link in the show notes so you can find it. But I can maybe talk a little bit longer about Mr. Frontend, but that's not the main purpose I want to share with you. I want to share this time 3 tips for developers. Maybe someone you know. So if it is someone you know who is just starting out, please share my podcast or my blog with them. Not to sell anything, but just to help them. But this time I want to share 3 tips from my own experience of what I learned and what helped me to grow as a developer from just starting out. So, tip number 1. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. I'm gonna say it again. Don't be afraid to fail. You know why? It is if you are afraid of failing, you're not gonna try new things. You're not putting yourself out and try out stuff you don't know because you're afraid of failing. If you don't try new things as a developer, you will never be able to learn new things. And if you looking to all those experienced developers, well, keep in mind they learned a lot by failing a lot, because from those failures they learned a lot and grew to what they've become today. And still today they don't know everything. They maybe specialize in something and know a lot about a smaller topic, because it's an illusion to know everything. It's an illusion. So that first tip, don't be afraid to fail, is really, really important to make you a bigger learner and make you a flexible learner. And that's why my second tip is be flexible in learning. Why? Well, in development, nothing is made from concrete. Well, you maybe can imagine that concrete is very, very, very fixed, very hard. And if you try to bend it, it will break. Well, development is not like concrete. Development is very flexible. And if you are very flexible in learning, it will make you help learning more stuff. And if your company, your employer decides to go for a framework Angular, and after a few years they decide to go to React, and then go to the next and the next and the next. If you are not flexible and don't have a solid base in your knowledge, it will be really hard. But if you stay flexible in the way you learn, then you won't have any problems with that. Because as a developer, the learning never ends. You will always stay on the top of learning. There will come and go new techniques, new frameworks, new libraries. So my second tip, be flexible in learning, is also very important. It helped me a lot to not stay on that one specific technique and stay with it. No, always search for a little bit better, a little bit different, try different things. Well, that's gonna help you grow. And what also helped me grow is my third tip, and that is, don't be afraid, well, not to fail, but don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, there are a lot of experienced developers who know a lot. If you see them on Twitter, just ask them on Twitter. If you know them personally in your team, ask them how they think about this, some topic, or ask them to explain something to you. And if you're afraid to ask, you will never admit for yourself that you have, well, you will always say to yourself, there's nothing I can learn. But you can learn from everyone. And if you're an experienced developer, you can also learn something from beginners, juniors. You can learn a lot from them. So don't be afraid to ask, even if you're just coming to the development world and want to know how to build a website well. When I asked that the first time, and I was maybe around 12 or 13 years old, that's when I began with HTML and CSS. And I asked to a friend who already knew how to build websites. And I asked him, well, and I will call your name Joshua, so hopefully you heard this. But I asked Joshua, how can I develop a website? And I got this nice, strong answer. And he said, well, Ray, use Notepad. Use Notepad? I thought, well, that's not enough for me. So I went searching, I found tutorials, and started at that moment. But I just, asked someone for help. And also at this moment, there are a lot of things I don't know, but that's not bad. But if I know there is someone who knows, I will ask for help. Even if this is a less experienced developer, it doesn't matter because I can learn. I can learn from anyone. I can learn from you. So it doesn't matter how good you are. You can learn from anyone. So you heard me. I turned the pages because I write everything down. I love to do that. I have a notebook so I can write everything down. So I prepared this podcast because otherwise I'm gonna talk for hours and hours. I don't think you're gonna like that. So that's why I structure it. So I'm also wondering, do you have any great tips for other developers? For other developers who are just starting out or have a little bit experience, but you have a great tip for them to grow. Please share them in the comments in the blog or on YouTube or on SoundCloud, because I can learn from it and also others can learn from it, other listeners. So if you have a great tip, and I would love to share them in my next podcast as a highlight. And I would put your name on the next podcast, so as a thank you. So hopefully you have a good one. And if you don't, and you know someone else who has, please share it with them. So I hope you liked my tips, and hopefully if there are in the comments great tips, I hope you like them also or learned a lot from it. And if you like this podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, on YouTube or on SoundCloud. But also don't forget the Mr Frontend Facebook group, where I share a lot more on a daily basis. And you can also check out my blog, where I also publish my podcasts. And if you want to read more about Mr Frontend, well, you can search me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out the blog, blog.mrfrontend.org, or the website mrfrontend.org. Hopefully see you next time. Or I don't know where you listen, maybe in the car, maybe during break, maybe on the beach. Please make pictures of where you are listening. I love to see them. And hopefully see you at the next episode that will be next Friday.